of June kicks off what is known as so-called Pride Month with the purpose of bringing awareness to those in the LGBTQ plus community. But many now feel that awareness has actually become an agenda, and it's being pushed on the youngest and most vulnerable through children's programming. We go now to Julie Gunlock, policy analyst at the Independent Women's Forum. Julie, always great to have you on. A lot to discuss today. But first, as you know, last week was the beginning of so-called Pride Month, and even the children's TV show Sesame Street is recognizing Pride Month. What do you think this signals, especially when these messages are directed at our children?
It is infuriating and really disappointing that some of these much beloved programs are celebrating Pride. This is not a subject that children need to deal with or focus on. We also saw the cartoon Transformers introduce a transgender transformer, absolutely bonkers. And it seems now that Pride Month is much more about the transgender movement, and it's more about getting kids indoctrinated into this movement. Very disturbing stuff.
It really is. And Julie, I mean, what can we do as parents? What do you think?
Look, I think that we've seen some corporations back off of their Pride Month activities already. Many changed their logo for an entire month. They're not doing that anymore. I think that the backlash against Target and against Bud Light is working. Look, I'm sort of skeptical about some boycotts. Sometimes I think maybe they don't work so well. But I do think you should take your dollars and go to a business that at least doesn't engage in this kind of stuff. It's really important that consumers vote with their dollars.
Yeah, and I noticed, I think it was last week, there was two rappers, they did a song to boycott Target, and it went to #2 or so on iTunes. So it certainly is resonating with some
People
folks
are
out there.
tired of it.
Yeah.
They're really tired of it.
Yeah, it seems that for sure. You know, I want to switch gears now. There's a new article in the Wall Street Journal that's detailing that is the rise of violence in schools against teachers. Can you tell us more about this study? It's really an alarming new trend.
It is actually, it's not new. This has been going on for years, but this new data shows that 14% of teachers have reported a physical altercation or being assaulted by a student. 49% of teachers say they either want to switch jobs or switch schools or quit altogether. But it's important for the viewers, I think, to know this is nothing new. And it's not only because of COVID. You're going to see a lot of people blame this all on COVID. Schools, starting in the Obama administration, started restorative justice practices, which basically takes away all discipline. There is a anything goes attitude with a lot of schools. And again, they don't punish children who misbehave. So this has been happening more and more. COVID certainly made it worse, but the teachers are really in trouble. And Randy Weingarten doesn't do anything but travel to Ukraine and try to close schools and keep kids masked. She's not advocating on behalf of these teachers.
Yeah, what can we do to help protect our teachers? I mean, they're so important to us, and they're really in short supply now.
I think restorative justice sounds good. It sounds good. Let's talk about it. What are your troubles? Kids need discipline, and they need to be punished if they act out. Otherwise, you have increasing violence in schools. So you need to go to your school district. You need to say, we are stopping these restorative justice practices. We're bringing back detention. We're bringing back expulsion. We're bringing back suspensions. These things work, and those things need to be returned. They simply are not in our schools these days.
Julie, we have probably about a minute so or left, but I'm curious what else you're following.
Well, of course, new people are jumping into the presidential race. And what it says to me is the Republicans have a very deep bench. We have a healthy party, lots of people jumping in, of course. And then on the Democrat side, you've got Biden. And he fell recently at a graduation ceremony, not looking too good and avoiding the press. So I think there's going to be a lot of frustration on the Democrat side, but it's good to see a lot of choices on the Republican side.
Yeah, and it was really sad to see President Biden follow the Air Force Academy graduation. I mean, we pray for him too. But curious, you know, what that signals to other countries when they see this type of leadership. You know,
it does signal weakness. And we are living in perilous times. It's incredibly scary how the provocations of China and the really scary situation for Taiwan, not to mention what's happening between Russia and Ukraine. We do not need weak leadership. We need a strong president Sadly, he is not one. And Rich Lowry, National Review, had a really interesting article this weekend where he said, a lot of us have elderly parents, and we know that when the falling starts, it doesn't stop. And this is a very scary sign for the leader of our country to be so elderly, to be having trouble and falling. That not only signals a weakness to our allies and our enemies alike, but to the American people. It's very sad.
It's very sad, and we do continue to pray for him. Julie, thank you so much for coming on. We always enjoy it and appreciate your insights.
Thanks for having me.